it really sucks if you're not making money, right? Because like
Sure does.
you work really hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the year, you're doing all this revenue and you're not making that much money for it. It's a fallacy to assume that just because it worked in your market means that it will be just as easy in a brand new market with brand new things where people have never heard your name before. It was probably coming to the realization this is just not going to get easier as it grows. The revenue part is the scam part, where the juice is in all of the optimizations. There's a lot of depth to running a very good painting company, and doing it the right way, to me, is a lot more fulfilling. We're booked out through Friday and going into the next Friday.
Yeah.
Right. So like we're at the point now where it's like we've turned off all of the lead sources, a lot of the lead sources, because we're so busy.
It's Eric. Welcome to the Painting Business Pro Show. Today I've got an awesome guest on. It is John Bucci, who is out of Southwest Florida. And he's got an awesome story that I'm really excited to share with you because John built his business up to $2.5 million a year. And then against my suggestions, he grew his business into more locations. And the next couple of years was pretty brutal. His business grew in revenue, went down in profit, grew in people, got way more stressful. And after 2 years of that, he shut down his new location and really rebuilt his business the right way. And it's paying off in a huge way for him. There's a lot of wisdom in this conversation. He has learned some really important lessons the hard way that we wanted to make sure to share with all of you. So if you want to make sure that you build your business the right way and you don't make the same mistakes that I've made and John has made, you want to make sure to listen to this episode with John. So I hope you enjoy it. Again, really powerful lessons, important lessons in this episode about how to build and scale your company. Enjoy. All right, what's up, John? Welcome to the Painting Business Pro Show. Been a long time coming. Super excited to dive into everything that you have to share. Thanks for jumping on. I know you've got a lot of amazing things to share, so thanks for being on.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this show for a little bit too, and I'm happy to be on here.
Yeah, so let's start with just where the business is at now, and then we'll do a little bit of a rewind, and then we can get into some of the amazing lessons. And before you share anything, I just want to give anybody who's listening some context here. So John and I, we've known each other for 5 years, maybe even more than that now. It's been quite a while. Mm-hmm. And so I've had a front row seat to just John's journey. And, you know, he's running a multi-million-dollar painting company. He's doing really well now. A few years ago, the last few years, he's just gotten his ass kicked a little bit, frankly. So we'll talk about that. But what I'm really appreciative of and excited to share from your story is just those lessons that you learned. So for anybody who is listening, the things that John's going to be able to share with you from his direct experience is some of the biggest traps that I think a ton of people fall into in that $1 to $3 million range. And it can wipe you out and kick your ass. And it's been really cool to see you, go through that, but really like how you've been coming out of it and what you've learned. And as rough as it might have been, I think you probably appreciate the lessons and how much wiser you are as a business person now. And I think those lessons will pay off significantly into the future. So I just wanted to lay that out there for anybody listening. So, John, why don't you share where the business is today? What do things look like? Where are you based? Give us a high level of what it's like right now.
Sure, yeah. So we're in Southwest Florida, in Lee County, Collier County, Florida, which is Fort Myers, Naples, that whole area for people who are familiar. Yeah. So right now we have an office manager. I work with my fiance, Ashley. She does marketing part-time with us. And then I have a salesperson and a production manager working for the team.
Right.
We have been in business since 2017. 2017. I think I joined Painting Business Pro probably like 2019 is probably when I started joining Painting Business Pro.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we're on track to do around this year. We'll probably close at like maybe a smidge over 2.5 this year. So yeah, and we took a little bit of a revenue hit, but just in a way better way. And I'm sure we'll unpack that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so you've got an office manager, marketing manager, project manager, sales rep. 2.5 million is pretty solid for that size team, which I know we'll go through, the transitions through all that. But one thing I'm curious about is just how it's been going like the last few months. So, because I feel like there was like a really big turn for you, particularly in the last few months of this year. And for anyone listening, the recording of this is December 8th or something, 2025. So yeah, what's been going on the last few months at
Yeah.
Apex?
So earlier in this year, we do you want me to go into
Sure.
the whole closing
Yeah.
down?
Yeah. I mean, we'll bounce all over, man. Yeah. Just
Okay.
if it makes sense, let's just dive right in.
Cool. So 2 years ago in 2020, was that 2024, 23, 24,
Something like that.
I had an office in Fort Myers. It was doing about 2.2 million in Fort Myers already. And I was like, hey, I want to grow the business. And like, I did what a lot of guys do is like, hey, like, let's like open up another branch. Right. So
Yep.
another branch for us was about an hour and a half north, in Sarasota. And, we just committed full into it, and we opened up another branch, and we sent up a sales guy up there. We hired another production manager. We hired another person in the office, and we started running. Year one, we did about 800,000 up there. And year two, which was like so that'd be ending in January. We I started noticing like, man, like it's way harder to open up. Like it's not the same as having the established reputation. Like we have like 400 reviews already in Fort Myers. We've been in years of business, and it just seemed like it was the sludge. And I noticed that our spend on marketing and everything was like completely inefficient. And then on top of that, our revenue we went from like 2.2 million in Fort Myers. It started dropping down to like 1.8, 1.7. So I'm like, okay, like something's not right here. So, we kind of like struggled with that, the whole thing. And we made the decision in January of this last year, like, hey, like, it's not that we're losing money. It's just that we're not focused. And like, I felt like we should have been farther along where we could have been. And it just like, when we started running the numbers in that northern branch, it was just like, hey, like these numbers just aren't working. Right. So, like overall, the company was profitable with both branches, but that one up there definitely wasn't. And it was sucking out of the bottom one here.
Yeah, if you go back to like 2022, 2023, did you end up hitting 3 million, or did you come just shy when you were at just Fort Myers?
I think we were at, I want to say like I have to look at the numbers, but I think we were like 2.2, 2.3.
Okay.
Even actually, even a little bit more than that because we did some commercial work.
Okay. That's what I thought. You were up there in the twos.
Mm-hmm.
And how was just the health of the business at that time? Like how profitable was it? Like how was it doing?
Yeah, it was doing good. Compared to like what we've done now, it was doing bad. But
what was it doing? So let's just say it was 2.5 million. Like what was your net margin like at that time?
I think we were making like the net on it was like something like, I think I walked with like 150,000 at the end of the year.
Okay. All right. So you were only like, not very profitable, 6% or something like that. Yeah. And then, I remember when you wanted to open the second location. And I think this is, walk me through that. Like, what was the thinking? Because I think a lot of people see that. Like, what was the thinking there on why open Sarasota?
Yeah, so like the thought was like, oh man, I need to grow revenue, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you just grow more, you could make more, right? Like it's pretty, like it seems like the obvious option. Like grow more sales, make more money, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the thought was at the time. And I remember.
And why did you think? Why a second location? Like, why not just grow more in Fort Myers? Like, what was your thinking on like the fastest path to growth was another one?
Right, because I didn't know how to grow the leads, and I didn't really take the time to master that part. I just thought that we could just do what we're doing down here, lead services, right. Like the expensive, really crummy stuff. And like that would just work because we could just get more leads from the lead services. We're already making money from that now. And, to just do that.
Yeah. Got it.
Which is wrong. I mean, it's it's a fallacy, right? Like looking back at it, what I should have done
Yeah.
is I should have learned how to market the right way, right? Because there's enough business in whatever city you're. I mean, Fort Myers and Naples is like there's like over a million. There's got to be over a million people in the area,
Yeah.
in the whole wide area. So it's not like a small market. It's not a huge market, but yeah, I think that's like a mistake that I think a lot of people think too. And I know I hear the other members talk about that a lot too. It's like, hey, like let's open another branch. And I remember having a meeting with you, and we recorded the meeting, and you literally told me in the meeting, like, hey, I think that's a bad idea. And I remember like not arguing with you about it, but like, oh, okay, well, I've already done it, so like it is what it is. And like basically like laying out like all the things that could happen. And I told you this afterward, like literally
Yeah.
every single one of those things happened.
What
Exactly.
were some of those? Yeah. What were some of those things? So yeah, I said, hey, John, don't do that. It's a bad idea. You've got your first location. Just
Right.
clean this, probably said something like, hey, just focus on this one. Like get this one cleaner, get it running better, just grow this one. And what were the things that I said would happen? But it's not, the important thing isn't what I said would happen. The important thing is for the listeners to be like, what happened? What were the bad things that happened?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So like so if I were to lay this out, the first thing is it's a fallacy to assume that just because it worked in your market means that it will be just as easy in a brand new market with brand new things where people don't hear about, have never heard your name before. And like, so that's the first thing, is underestimating the value of like the amount of touches that you've already had with people in your area
Yeah.
that you just don't think about because you've done it for many years already, right? For those people who have done it for many years. And then
Yeah.
on the opposite end of that, for new guys, also learning that like every single time you touch someone, that's like a little bit of equity, a little bit of equity, a little bit of equity that you're building there, right?
Yep.
So it's a very slow and steady thing that you don't realize, but it pulls through.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. The second,
So marketing became, you thought you could copy and paste exactly what you're doing here, copy and paste it there, and you get the same results. And what you found was the results were nowhere near the same.
No, and we literally had the same sales guy from Fort Myers move to Sarasota, and the same product, like literally the exact same guy, and that guy could not sell the same based on not only his, but he's running the same process, right? So the other thing too is the second mistake is that it's wrong to think that like like things take longer than you think they need to take. And a lot of times, like when you're growing your business, especially like with your people, like they need a lot of energy, right? Like, especially in the beginning. So like to be remote with someone, it's not impossible to do, but it kind of removes that sense of, like we meet once a week with my business, and like there are people in person. And again, like I'm not saying it's impossible to do that, but what I am saying is that it spread me thin, and I wasn't able to focus on the business that was already working as well. So that was a second mistake.
Yeah. Well, and the evidence there was Fort Myers got worse.
Yeah.
Too.
Right. Way worse. Right. So, and then the third thing is like, so then I also increased my overhead.
Mm-hmm.
So now I had like a team of what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that weren't really getting trained that well because they had different problems that they were trying to solve. Right. They were running all different phone numbers, all different, processes in that way.
Yeah.
But they weren't like, the efficiency went down, right? Like with each guy. So like I had a guy that was like crushing it down here. Then he went up there. He wasn't selling as much. And then like if you have someone who's an A player, if they can't go from making $100,000 a year to making $50,000 a year, right? So that like discouraged him and all that too. So it was like a combination of things that kind of led to this big thing. And then I find myself like now in charge of these companies. We're making revenue. We were over 3 million at the time, but it's just like, for what, right? Because like you're spinning your wheels a lot, right?
So you did grow to 3 million.
Yeah.
So the revenue grew.
Yeah, the revenue definitely grew.
Yeah. Okay.
Between both of them, because like I said, we did about 800 to 1 million up there.
Right.
as well. And then we dropped down a little bit here. So like I said, we were right at that like 3 million, 3.1, that
Right. Yeah, I remember because you were just north of 2.5, but then that dropped, but the other added, so you're still at 3 million, but you have like almost double the staff now. And so, what are the revenue is one metric,
Mhm.
right, that we can look at. So that actually went up. So it's like, oh yeah, success. But then what happened to profitability? And then what happened to like the other thing is kind of the intangible stuff. It's like your experience running the business, your stress level, your enjoyment of it, the quality of the business itself. So what would you, first, how was the profitability? Did that go up? Did it go down? Did it stay the same?
Yeah. So the profitability wasn't all that great already.
Yeah.
Right. So what I should have done is I should have focused on that before growing another company or
Yeah.
another business, but I didn't. So the profitability went down from there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like if you've had business years where you take, like at the end of the year, you're doing all this revenue and you're not making that much money for it. It's like you feel like with business, it really sucks if you're not making money, right? Because like
Sure does.
you work really hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like it is way, way better to be doing business when you're making really good money. Way better, right?
Yeah.
Because just like your time. And so it's like you're stressed out all the time. It's just like there were multiple factors that led us to like, hey, you know what? January, come February, we're just like, hey, we're going to do the hard thing. And like, it was hard for me. Like I had to fire, two of the guys. One of them ended up moving. So it kind of worked out there. But like, and I had to tell like friends and family, like, hey, we're going to close this down. So like there was a little bit of an ego hit there,
Yeah.
but I decided like, hey, I'm going to zen out and I'm just going to like, we're going to put all that aside. We're going to close this thing down and we're going to now turn back and like get this thing right in the original way.
So real quick, we went from 2.5 to opening another location to growing to 3, but profitability went down as a percentage, but you're still making some money, but you were working a lot harder. You had more overhead. And I know one big part is like, there was no freaking traction. Like I remember like call after call we would get on. It's like, you couldn't get it all working. And it was like running 2 businesses, so
100%.
it's like twice as hard because you literally have the South location, the North location, and they're like different. It's like, yeah, it's still a painting business, but it's still like 2 businesses.
Totally.
So, what ultimately led you to the decision? Because I know it was not easy, to like basically just cut the losses and shut that thing down and go through like, there's a lot of things I know you had to go through to shut it down. Whether it's letting people go, the ego thing, the decision. Hey, what was the tipping point that led you to like, okay, yeah, I'm going to literally revert back and go back to my one location, the same thing I was doing 2 years ago? That's not an easy decision to make. So how'd you make it and why? And
yeah, I think like partially it was also like I could tell that the employees like especially with one of my sales guys that down there, like I could tell that he was like really like getting affected by it too.
Yeah.
Because like he just wasn't all that busy, and like you said, there was no traction that was happening. And we did this for about, I would say it was about 18 months. 1 to 2 years, or like a year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was one specific thing. It was probably coming to the realization it's like this is just not going to get easier as it grows.
Yeah.
And like that's not the reason that I wanted to start a business.
Yep.
So
why do you want to start a business?
To create freedom and to create wealth for my family and to have something that I'm like, I love to do, and it's fun to grow and the people are fun.
Yeah.
Partially too, the haste of opening led me to hire some people that shouldn't have been hired.
Mm-hmm.
So, and recognizing that those people needed to go too, because they were hurting the rest of the company. So yeah, that's pretty much what led to it.
And then one of the realities that you were faced with was, in a very real way, it was like, all right, I've just got to like take a couple steps back in order to move forward. Because it was like, all right, I need to close that. I think you even got back in the field,
Oh yeah.
right? Because you had to let a bunch of people go.
Mhm.
You literally made the business quite a bit smaller
Oh yeah.
in the short term. Now I know you're ending the year strong, and we'll talk about that. So for anyone, if you're listening, it's like, yeah, you'll hear the triumph. I mean, it's going really, really well now that you've been building it the right way, and it's really only been like not even a year
Yeah.
of really doing this the right way, and it's like a fucking wild difference in the success of the business today than it was a year ago.
Totally.
But a year can feel like a long time when you're in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what were the hard pills to swallow with making it smaller, taking the steps back? Like, what did that just look like? Just so people can appreciate the what it actually took to make this change in the right way. Cause dude, I just really acknowledge you for it. Cause most people don't. And we talked a lot like through that, and it's like, all right, this is the next thing. This is the next thing. And I think most of those things you did are not things you want to do. They were not the things you wanted to do, but they were the things that were required.
Yeah.
So what were some of those things?
Yeah. So the first thing was and I felt like this year as a business owner, I've become a lot more mature with things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's cool because with business, there's no playbook. Well, there is a playbook. You're doing a playbook, but there's a lot of things in business that you don't know until you've experienced it, and that right? Things that no one would ever tell you, right?
Or if they tell you, you dismiss it because you think it doesn't apply to you for some reason. Like you had to literally learn this yourself, which is, by the way, one of our intentions of this whole podcast is that you don't have to do it the hard way, like John did it.
Yes.
That hopefully he can share in a way that some of you, maybe 2 or 3 of you, can listen to this and be like, okay, I'm gonna listen.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously. Because I wish like I said, I was talking to you, I was watching a video that you posted of me and you talking, and it was like, man, if I would have just taken the mindset of hey, maybe that this person, you were talking from experience at the time when you were talking to me, and recognizing better, as a business owner from my standpoint, recognizing better that people have gone before you, and that wealth, that well of knowledge there is deep, and it's often telling the future, right? So so I wish I would have that was the first thing is so one of the big changes for me was you know what? Because we had a meeting too, we talked about it. So and you were like, hey man, I think you should just shut it down. And I was I kind of came to the point, I was you know what? I should have taken your advice the first time. Let me try to really think on why that would be done. And it made a lot of sense to me. So the first thing was kind of just humbling myself to say hey, you know what? Listen to people have gone before you in that, because you said you opened up a business too, right? In multiple businesses all at the same time.
Oh, dude, I will run circles around anyone who thinks they failed more than me. Just hit me up. Let's do a failure off.
Yeah, right. So you knew already. So that's why you were telling that with me. You wouldn't have said that to me if you didn't care about it and you didn't know about it, right? So that was the first thing is just kind of humble myself and say okay, I haven't been doing this the right way, right? There are things I have been doing the right way, but now I need to do things the right way, right? Because I'm not getting any younger. I've been in business since 2016, 17. So, it's been close to 10 years now. And I keep hitting my head on this 3 million mark, right? So this is we've gone up 2.5 hit, so at a couple of years, we've been over 2 million. So, yeah, so that was one of the big things. The other thing too is having to just get rid of people. That sucks. I hate firing people. I absolutely hate firing people.
Yeah.
Even though some of them should be best for them would just for
there's some people you don't mind firing, but then there's people that they're great people, but they got to go.
Even the people that should be fired, that, I still feel bad about it, right? It's just the kind of guy I am. Because I know, we're paying their bills, their kids, the whole thing, right? So I hate to have those conversations. So I realized hey, I'm going to have some serious conversations with these guys. And we actually lost our salesman down here in Fort Myers too, as well as a part of the whole fallout. right?
Yep.
So like I lost a office person, a salesperson, a production manager, and a salesperson like in a period of 30 days.
How you have a current team of an office manager, a marketing manager, a production manager, and a sales rep.
Yeah.
How many of those have been with you through the whole thing?
So two of them.
Two of them.
Two of them.
All right. So another way to look at this for anyone listening is you go from a team of 6 and a $3 million business all the way back to like, I've got two people. Which two?
It was Joe and Tom, and Ashley wasn't on the team yet at the time.
That's project and sales rep.
That's office and project manager.
Office and project manager. So literally go back to that. Like, I mean, that's like that. Just so you can appreciate the challenge this was, is like that's like taking 3 years steps of backwards. It's not just going 2 years back to when I had one location in Fort Myers. It wasn't shutting down one location. It's like, if I'm going to build this the right way, I need to literally get rid of almost everyone because the culture had been screwed up and there's all these issues where it's like, I'm literally going back to like where I was at when I was doing like $1 million a year.
Yeah.
And that can be scary too, by the way, for anyone listening. Like, it can be scary to do that.
Yeah. And like, as a business owner, like you put a lot of your identity is built in to the success that you have.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so that was a big thing too, just to separate that and say like, hey, that's why I said like the ego part. It's like, dude, like who cares about that? Right. Like, cause I knew I was doing the right thing. That's what kept me pushing forward with it. And I think that was the part. And that's what I've been doing this year is every step that we've done, I've said like, you know what, like what would be the right thing to do? Not like the fast thing to do, not like the thing that sounds good. Like what is the right thing to do next? And honestly, it's had a huge, huge effect on like the success. You move so much faster doing it that way.
Right.
And you say it all the time, like fast is slow, like
slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah. It's like doing like focus on the one next thing that's most important and do it until it's done. And also don't be afraid to like there were a lot of things that I uncovered that I found out that I was not good at, and I was afraid of them to do them. And like that I was neglecting, like for example, in marketing.
Yeah. Right.
So, so that, it took a lot to do that, but it didn't feel like it was the wrong move. And that's why that's why I think it worked.
Yeah. So you had one challenge was like humbling yourself to being like, I'm just going to listen and learn and do what someone's telling me to do, even if I don't want to, I don't like to. Like, all right, I'm just going to do that. Second thing that was really hard was firing and letting a bunch of people go. You didn't say this, but I said it. But third hard thing is like literally going so many steps backward until you're like, all right, I got to keep dismantling, like unbuilding the house. I have to unbuild the house until I'm down to a point where like, okay, I've gotten low enough that like this part actually was built right. Let's build from there. Right. And that part for you was down to an office manager and a project manager in one location.
Right.
Like, okay, they don't have to go. They're right. Now we got to build from there. And that's a challenge. Were there any other things that were really challenging about committing to to just really building this right?
No, just besides like, that pretty much hits the nail on the head.
Okay. and then once you were doing it, what was your experience over the year? Because it's been since like last January or so, as we've talked about, and I think I even told you it's like this is going to take. What do you remember? What expectations I set on how long it would take?
It was in the year or years.
Yeah, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And what was your experience like this year? Just kind of grinding through, like doing one right thing at a time, the right way until it's done. Did it feel fast? Did it feel slow? What was just the experience like?
Yeah. So the first thing that I had to focus on was I had to get a new salesperson in.
Yeah.
And so like to give like the people who are listening, like a different mindset of how in the past, it was like, I needed to get a new salesperson in so that like I can make more sales. Right. Mm-hmm. But now it was like, I'm going to hire a good salesperson and I'm going to train them so thoroughly that they're going to be so good at sales that there's no question whether or not I've put in every single effort into this.
Yeah.
I designed a 100-page manual. I broke it down into classroom training with videos, testing, this whole thing, like really deep into it. And we did that with the first guy, and he comes out swinging like, 35, 40%. Our average job size goes up from 5,500 to 6,000. Then, so just like right off the rip, like that was like, okay, that was showing me like, hey, this is going to be done right.
Well, and was that the guy that you took so long to hire that it was like, felt like it was just taking forever to hire because you just didn't have the right person yet?
No, that's this guy that I'm doing. Right
Okay. The one you just brought on. Or
No,
you're
no,
looking at, you're
I haven't
trying
hired.
right now. You haven't found them yet.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're listening to the podcast, almost every single person that we talk to on the show is someone that we have worked with at Painting Business Pro. If you run a painting company or you're starting a painting company and you are really serious about building an amazing business while having a great lifestyle along the way, that is what we do best. When you work with us, you'll plug in to all of the systems, playbooks, training, and get coaching from me and my team. That's the training, systems, playbooks, and team that runs our currently $40 million portfolio of painting companies. It's the stuff that's working right now. We're actually doing this stuff day in and day out, and we love coaching people and helping people grow. So if you're interested in getting some help and working with us, head over to paintingbusinesspro.com and apply now, and we look forward to talking with you soon. You took a lot more time. And how much more time did it take than like how you would have done it in the past? Like contrast that with how you were doing it before.
Yeah, like, and then that was the thing. It was like, it wasn't like, yeah, it probably took me an extra couple of days to like create, maybe like an extra week to create the system. But then the training part, it didn't feel like it was all that much extra time because like really all the extra time was just making sure I went out with him more and more and more. Like I probably went into the field with him like 10 more times. But like that,
that's the place I'd underline right there. Is that's not the throwaway. That's what people are like, okay, he's trained. Next thing. And you try to go so fast that it's like, no, he wasn't really trained.
Right.
Like you kept going back. So that would be the thing I'd underline for anyone listening is like 10 extra times is a lot of extra times.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was more the mindset of like, hey, I'm going to do this until this guy is so well trained that he just is well trained. Like there wasn't any other option. Right.
Yep.
So that was the first thing. Then Ashley came aboard and she was like, hey, your marketing is insane. The amount of money we were spending like $450,000 in marketing or something like that, like on Angie's leads, all this stuff. She was like, hey, like this is not working. So she came aboard, she started looking at and just like following like the fundamentals, track every single thing, get all of our marketing tracking down, right? Like that whole tech part was a whole thing that we're still doing. But like now we have like a lot of clarity on like how much came from this source, how much conversion rate, how much is your cost of lead, right? So all that part, that took a couple of months.
So you were at like 450. So you're spending something like 40 grand, 35, 40K a month at a $3 million business. You're like a 15% cost of marketing, which is ravaging your net profit. And how has that changed to now? Like how's that going now?
So I think we were closer to like 17% marketing.
Is where you were.
We were. Yeah. And so like last month we were under 10%. And then we had some fees that we threw in there. So like we came out to like 11.1%.
Okay.
So, and I still think like we have a lot of room to even make it lower than that. But
what was sales last month?
Sales last month was in the 200s. It was like 240,000, 200.
All right. So you're back at it. You're back to it, 1 year later. And this was like literally go all the way back down to, I have a project manager and office manager and me, John, I'm out there doing estimates myself again. Mm-hmm. So like, what was your smallest month this year?
Probably like 150.
Okay. So you got down to 150. Which is like peeling back like a $1.8 million business. And now you're back to trending at 3. But just from the marketing improvement, you've got an extra 7% on the bottom line.
That's just
the marketing improvement. Just that added $200,000 a year in profit.
Which is like a shit. Yeah. That's a lot of money to like, when you're not making a lot of money at all. To like, hey, you just made two, like, and
it's a lot of money no matter what. It's 200 grand. And then not to mention the overhead on the people and the inefficiencies with the second location and the extra vehicles and all that stuff. I mean, we're talking probably $350,000 in bottom line added with just the people and the marketing alone.
Yeah. Cause the other office manager was like 55,000. I was paying the PM like 85.
Yep.
So
that 140.
Yeah. Just right there. so like, and then honestly, the cost of marketing has gone down. Our average job. So then we figured out the marketing thing. We really started, like, we committed to like, hey, we're going to figure out Facebook. So that was like our big thing. Our average job size has gone up from 5,200 last year to 6,800 this year.
Huge.
Our sales rate has gone up to like in the mid 40s that we're at right now. I still think we can get over 50, but just consistently across the board, every single time we're in the mid 40s. And our cost of goods sold has gone down like 2 or 3%, which, and I think that could still go down on that. But like, I mean, just the amount of money.
That's 2 or 3%. Marketing is 7. That's 9. You know, at a $3 million business, that's almost 300K plus your other two people. I mean, you're talking like in 12 months, fixing the business to the tune of like 450 to 550,000 in additional profit.
Yeah, in gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we've almost tripled our net.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
We've done more than triple our net.
What's the on
a smaller business too, by the way.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's smaller because it's not your trend right now at $250,000 a month. It's like, okay, you've rebuilt a business where now you can do 3 million again, but in one location with way, way better margins. But that doesn't mean you did 3 million this year.
Right.
You've tripled your net profit and you've done it on less revenue. But now next year it's going to be more revenue again because you've built it right.
Yeah, and like I think the thing too, just like let the viewers know as well, is like the difference in those, like if you were to take a snapshot of those two businesses, to grow, like I feel like right now we're in a spot where it's like we have so many leads that we're booking the entire next week out completely. On Tuesday, we're booked out through Friday and going into the next Friday.
Yeah.
Right. So like we're at the point now where it's like we've turned off all of the lead sources, a lot of the lead sources, because we're so busy. And like I've never been in that kind of spot with the business, like where it's like, oh yeah, like not only can we hire somebody? So then, so like we're at that point now where like we can hire somebody and we're like turning off marketing. Right.
Yep.
So like now we're at this point where it's like, hey, we still have a couple of issues in production. So I'm like, okay, like we still need to hire the salesperson, but you know, I'm going to really focus on production. December is going to be like really dialing in cost of goods sold and like not rushing hiring somebody. Like it'd be better to like not like take the extra revenue and just slow it down.
Yep.
So
that's when you said like I've gotten more mature, as a business owner, that way of thinking is a really good example of it. Is I'm not chasing the growth. I'm not chasing the shiny objects. I'm like, no, I'm going to build this right. And it's pretty amazing. I just like my view on this is like, it's always pretty amazing. Like how fast going slow pays off, cause it's like, man, this sucks. This is 3 months. Like, man, we really live very short-sighted as business owners because the truth is like, it's 12 months later, dude. Like now that you've been through it, you know why I had the conviction I had to be like, don't do it, and the conviction I had to like, you just rip it off, man. Like shut it down, rebuild it right. I know it's going to suck, but you'll be better off because now that you've been through that, you're like, yeah, holy crap. Like a world of difference just 12 months later.
Totally. And you can't, there comes a point where you can no longer grow if you're not healthy enough. Yeah. And that's where I was at. We were, there was no, if we kept growing, we would have gone negative, right?
Right. You would have made less and less money to all the way to zero.
Yeah. All the way to zero. And like, so like that, 100%, the right way to do it again, like I'm just learning this. I've been in business now for, like I said, about 9 years. So, and I'm just learning this as a business owner is like the right way to do it is to do what Eric says with it. Right. Like, and like
everybody 9 years in business, you just do what Eric says.
Just listen to it. Right. Like sometimes I like comment that on that. I was like, you should just probably just listen to Eric on that. Right. So like, no, like it's serious because it comes from wisdom. And like, that's the thing that like, this is the important part. And that, like we said, for people, if they're watching this, the wisdom is like, slow it down. It's going to take some time. If you focus and you're okay with it taking as long as it needs to take to get it done the right way, it'll go very fast.
Exactly. When you pursue a project, any project or initiative in the business, it's going to take you 2 to 3 times longer than you think it will to do it right. And what a lot of people do is they say, hey, this thing's going to take me 6 weeks. And when it's not done in 6 weeks, they just call it done in 6 weeks to stick to the 6-week timeline. They just make the hire because they had a 6-week timeline. And that's another way of saying you take shortcuts without calling them shortcuts. Right. You convince yourself it's not a shortcut. But really what you should have done is just said, hey, this thing's actually going to take 12 weeks. And that's just how long it takes. Like my estimation on how long something took was the thing that was wrong. And so you just do it the right way. Dude, I just want to say a couple of things to like drill this in for people. And then I want to get into some of your lessons. So this is like one of the it's not a fight. It's like one of the battles I pick with like people more than almost any other, with people I coach or people I work with or our partners, is slow down. There was a guy just the other day, he started in June. He's in the accelerator program. He's now in mastery, but he started in June. He did like 50, then 100, then 150, in August, September, October.
Wow.
And then he said, we're like, what's your goal for November? And he goes, it's going to go to 200. And I was like, don't do it, man. You're at $150 right now. You're already breaking. Like you actually should go backwards,
right,
and cut this back to like 80 to 100. So it's sustainable, and then clean some things up for a few months and then hire somebody and have the time to hire that person. And it was such a beautiful thing because he took the coaching and he did 80 grand in November. Now, pretty damn good for someone in business for 5 months, but it's crazy how greedy we get, and then that like greed and arrogance, like how badly it can undermine and take years from us. Like I know you've experienced, but you've also gained that wisdom. And so I think all the success that you've had in the last year, like that's what's available to anyone if you're willing to like go slow. And it's not about going slow, really. It's not like, go slow. It's more like do the right things and do them the right way, even if it takes longer than you'd like it to.
Right.
And it will feel slow when you do that. But it will actually be insanely fast over like a 1 to 3 year time horizon.
It only feels slow because you make up in your head some arbitrary timeline. Yeah. Because the reality is like another way to say what you said to me is like take as long as it takes to do it right. Period.
Yeah.
And that's the fastest way to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Instead of like you said, like cutting the corners with it.
Yeah, it's very unsexy, but it's way more fulfilling. So the other thing to ask you about before we get into some of these lessons, Sean, was just your experience of the business. So obviously, it's way healthier. Mm-hmm. You're rebuilding the team. You've got a good team now. Like, just talking about your experience of running the business today compared to a year ago.
Yeah. So, I'd say the first thing is like when you're making good money, a lot of the problems don't seem as hard.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's way harder to deal with a problem and then also know that you're not making any money. Right. So like that's like one experience to just kind of take. The other thing too is like, like I have had to work harder this year, like in the field, versus like not harder, but more working in the business than working on the business.
Yeah.
But my team is so much better. And like, so that frees me up with a lot more problems. The culture is better. Like we're having, you know what I mean? Like we had, where we had people in different cities and some of the guys weren't right. And so like our culture, that was a big thing. That's kind of where we started. It was like, hey, like we're going to get the culture right first. Yeah. And so like, that's been crazy improved. And yeah, so like overall, like things are way better. It's not where I want it to be yet, but I do feel like we're set up now. Like I think everybody on the team feels the amount of like, we're ready. We're going to probably, once we make these next hires, we're going to
you got a couple hires. Yeah. Sales rep, production manager, is that like the next 2 hires?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have a team of 5?
Yep.
Or 6, I guess, with Ashley.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Office manager, 2 sales, 2 production, and Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
2 in marketing. Yeah. Nice. Well, and with that, it sounds like with that team, you'll be able to get this to 350 probably a month. Maybe push that even higher than that. But
yeah, that's about right.
Yep.
And like again, like just like setting that up because our season's in January, like pretty high season.
Yep.
So just being like, okay, like if we don't, we've had 350 people apply for sales position.
Yep. Yep.
And just like making sure we hire that right guy and not rush it.
Yep.
I'd rather take less sales. And if we miss the season, that's now the new thing, right? Like, we can't miss the season. Miss the season, like who cares? Like there's going to be season next year. And like, so.
Yep. Yeah, there will be a season next year. And the right person is worth it. You just got to get the right person. You got to do it right. I don't care. You've got to do it right. Don't care how long it takes. All right, man. So let's transition to some of these few things we talked about before the show. So the first thing I had on the list was like some of the principles you've learned in business. So I'll let you let it rip and then I'll ask a couple questions.
Oh, okay. So the principles, like one of the things that like, that changed the business for me, and this was early on, was that like the principles of why creating systems are important, why like it's almost like I wrote down here like working on the business versus in the business, right? So like,
what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Because everybody hears that often, and also I think the culture has made it like you should be working on the business and you shouldn't be working in the business. And like, if you're working in the business, you're not working on the business. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you got to work in the fucking business.
Right.
So yeah, what does in the business and on the business mean to you? And what have you like discovered or learned about those things through this last 2 years?
So like, for example, like you can't train a very good salesperson unless you work in the business as a salesperson and master the sales part.
Yeah.
So you have to be a good salesperson to train a good salesperson, right? It's very rare to find like, oh yeah, I'm just going to like delegate that out. It just doesn't work, right? So like, but when you're working as in this business as a salesperson, I always look at it as like, I'm watching and like, if I am the salesperson in the shoes of my employee, what am I experiencing as I follow my processes? Is it hard? Like, am I setting them up for like success? Like even like down to like the equipment that I have for them, the type of printers, like, are these things like setting my person up for success? The way the office is setting at things, the way like the routes that we're taking. So like, that's the working on the business part to me while I'm working in the business. And I would implore a lot of times, like, one of the things I had to do, and this was forced onto me, is one of my production managers had he just had a baby. His wife just had a baby. So, I was like, hey, go take the time off. Like, I'm going to jump in and like, instead of like being like, man, I have to do this, I looked at it as like an opportunity to be like, hey, like I'm going to now, for years, I haven't worked in production. I'm going to now be able to see production and see how that thing is ran. And man, I figured out so many things that like now, like I said, our whole month is focused in on like, how can we make this guy's like life better crews, like there's a lot of things that I was like shocked about. So that's just something, that I would say to people.
Dude, it's so good, man. Anyone who's listening, it's like, I don't need to know John's numbers to know that his business is crushing it when that's the approach he has in his business. Like and it's not normal. Like the way more normal approach people have in business is like, I'm trying to get out of doing the work and I'm trying to like grow the business. But the truth is that when you just work on making the business really, really good, it grows.
Right.
Like it grows. And there's just no better way than just getting your hands dirty and doing it. Like, so you almost need to have some working in the business to be effective at working on the business. Like you can't work on the business and make these systems better until you like get involved on the front lines and do them or experience them. So just so good to hear. And I think you've probably found that, man, what a difference that's made this year. Getting in there with sales, getting in there with production, cleaning, and then taking the time to really clean it up and polish it up. Like, and look at the results are happening.
Right.
Not because you're focused on results, because you're focused on making the business itself better. So good, dude. And, anyways, I'm just pointing out because I want people to hear that. That's always a discovery and shift people have before things go.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to like what you were saying earlier about like the taking the time to do things the right way. Like that's what it
Yep.
looks like, right? Like
Yeah.
for me at least, that's what it looks like.
Yep.
And then like a lot of times also you jump into those things later. Like my guys are running some stuff that I created in like 2019, right? And like
Yep.
I'm like, oh man, like what are you doing? They're like, oh well, you told me to do that. I'm like,
Whoops.
that's
Yeah.
crazy, right? So like, and just kind of, and there's a lot of little things like that. So that was just one thing that I thought. We talked about growing the right way versus the wrong way. But like,
yeah, how would you sum that up? How would you sum up the right way versus the wrong way?
yeah, so like marketing is like a production problem, right? That's how I would sum that up.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Like the reason that your leads that you need more leads is like, for example, and that's something I didn't even thought about. Our referral rate has gone up from like 5% to like 30%. Right. So
Yep.
like that, the amount of what that does to your business. And the only way you could do that is like crazy focusing on like customer experience.
Yep.
Right. So like, but that's the right way to do it, right? Get your referral rate up high so that you don't have to spend as much in marketing, right? And the way you do that is you get your production really, really good. You get really really good production people in production. You get a really good subcontractors. You do that by doing a lot of recruiting, more than you probably think you need. And then also like investing time into systems, into developing those guys. Right?
So let me ask this, John. So if I'm listening to this podcast, most people are going to hear that and say, I am already good at production.
But
And you said that 2 years ago too.
Yeah.
So what do you say, yeah. So speak to that person like, okay, yeah, I know. Because if I said that 2 years ago, I'm like, dude, you just got to get better at production. You're like, we're great at production. What have you learned about that? Because you've got a different view about that now than you did 2 years ago. Because there's not a person out there who's like, oh yeah, we do a shitty job.
Yeah.
Like, no one says that, but many, many, many people are doing a shitty job.
Yeah. So like maybe I would reframe it. So like this is what kind of taught me this. I used to work with this guy. His name was Mike Major. So Mike Major was a longtime client of ours. He's an older gentleman, awesome dude. He just like, I've met him, when I was running estimates in like 2016. He called me back. Hey, how's your mom doing? Whole thing, right? So like I'm kind of close with him, but he's a client, but he's a close client that has done a lot of business with us. So this time around, like I just asked him at the end of the job because we just repainted his exterior. And I asked him at the end of the job, I said, listen, Mike, like one of my big focuses is like, I really am trying to dial in our customer experience. Like, is there anything that you could let me know about that I would not have otherwise known about? Right. He's like, man, like you guys painted the whole house. Everything was awesome. But you guys moved my grill out into the yard and I'm 78 years old and I could not move the grill back. I had to call my neighbors over. They all had to come by. And then when I went out there was a bucket of paint still laying out there, right? Like not a big deal, right? But for this guy, like that must have taken him like 2 hours, right? Whatever it was. Like think about like the inconvenience that
Yep.
That's probably happening in one way, form or another in other jobs. You just never ever hear about it as an owner.
Right.
And they don't refer you because like they're like, like they were good except for that one little mistake that they left you with a bad taste in your mouth at the end that you just don't know about. And to fix that one little thing that you don't even know about, that's hard to do.
Yep.
It's very, 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 very hard to do. But it's about, to me, it's about culture. It's about creating a culture of excellence in production. And we haven't even gotten that. Like we just started, like I said, about 6 months ago, we started really dialing on that. But from your bottom line perspective, a 30% referral rate has a huge difference on how much money you're making.
With those two changes, just the math of it, a 5K job size with a 5% referral rate means like your average $5,000 job refers you another $250 in business. So you're getting $5,250 from a client. But with a $6,800 job size and a 30% referral rate, you're getting on average $6,800 plus another $2,200. You're getting like $9,000. I mean, that alone almost doubles the business with no additional marketing cost.
Right. And that's why our marketing, because this last month is the first time we've had that.
Yeah.
And that's why a big part of why our marketing costs. So like,
and that's why you said your problem with marketing is production.
Well, yeah, like so you said like sum that up, like what that means, and that's for other things, right? Like a lot of times your marketing is no good because your intake is no good, right? Or a lot of times your marketing is no good. You think you need more leads, but it's because your sales rate's too low.
Yeah.
Right. So like everything is interconnected. It's like a machine that works with each other. It all affects each other. So that's, to me, that's growing business the right way. It's about efficiencies.
Yeah.
Right.
Not more.
Not more. And it's also like doing the hard thing. The thing that is very hard to do that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like shying away from it. That's usually the thing that needs to get solved. But the other thing is like your competitors are not doing that. They don't want to do that because it's also hard.
Yep.
So
it's good. Can you, there's something I just like the way you said it before we got on. You said chasing revenue is a scam.
Yeah.
It's like the way you said that. So yeah, can you elaborate on that from just what's your view about that?
Yeah. I mean, for everything we talked about, it's like, it's a trap, it's a trap because you literally like it right now. If you have like a $500,000 business and you're not making at least 20%, which includes your pay, right? So 20%, you could do nothing else and you could not grow the business at all and make a lot more money. When you get to over $1 million into the 2 millions, to do 1, 2, 3% cuts, like it's not that hard. Like we just started, like one of the things, like we were like, okay, like we're just going to tell our clients that for processing fee, that we're like, we'll give them the choice. You could either pay the processing fee or instead of just baking it into every job. And like 95% of our customers don't want to pay a processing fee. And we saved like 25 grand.
Yep.
From that one little thing. Right. And that's like just extra money. Right. Yep. So the revenue part is the scam part where the juice is in all of the optimizations.
Yep. It's good. Okay. I think we covered all the other notes that I had before. I think we covered. So, anything else that you'd want to share?
No, I mean, just like, thank you for, all the mentorship that you've given me over the years. Like they're extremely invaluable to the business to have people have gone before you to learn from their wisdom. And like, my hope is that, other people could learn from this story as well. And like when Eric says something, like, listen, Eric. So that's the, blind faith, don't blind faith anything, but like also just note that like there's a lot of depth to running a very good painting company. And doing it the right way to me is a lot more fulfilling. So yep. It's way better. So that's what I would say is like, if people could hear that and they feel like they're not doing things the right way and like they're moving too fast, it's like, dude, like, just like, don't worry about it. Like you'll go faster. So,
well, what I'd want to sum this whole thing up with is, and why I wanted, John and I have been talking about doing this PV show for a while, but we said, hey, let's just wait until you're through this because it's going to make for a good, because I know you're going to get through it and some great things are going to happen. And it started to turn this fall. But we want to have this conversation because so many people fall in the trap of chasing revenue and chasing growth and not building the company the way that you really should because you don't want to. And I went through it painfully. Like I got completely burned doing this. And then I talk to people about it all the time and I see people get burned all the time. And it was like 2 or 3 years and those years sucked. Right. I know I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I've talked to you about it enough that it's like, yeah, it sucked. It was super frustrating.
Yeah.
And it was just not getting traction. And so anyways, if there's, again, just a couple people who can learn from this and do it the right way, like that's our intention from it. And then also, John, back at you, just acknowledge you for like doing again, it wasn't easy. We talked about it in the show, but, to make all the decisions that you had to make to let go of the people you had to let go, to, you know, the humble steps of like, yeah, I'm back doing sales again. Yeah, I'm shutting that whole location down. Like, I have to let people go. Like, the swallowing your pride and the doing the work that needs to be done. And I acknowledge you for doing that. And the thing that made me happiest is when I saw your post on that, you know, when I saw it, and you shared your sales numbers.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, fuck yes, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Clean, healthy, big numbers. And I know that, because I've been through this and I've seen it enough times, that the coolest part, dude, is like, it's not happening because you're like forcing it, grinding it, and struggling to like will that thing into existence.
Right.
It's almost like it's happening, which is the coolest thing, I think.
Yeah.
You know, when you're building a business the right way, like in the amazing results, they're just happening. It's so cool. So kudos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the lessons of that, dude, that lesson, you just like keep building that way and you compound that for another 5 years. It's like, dude, such an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's honestly how I feel now. Like, I feel like I've never felt that we're on the edge of growth so much.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've literally had to turn off lead sources. Like, we have no Angie, no networks, all of it's completely off, and we're still busy, and like that, we're just like ready to it. But like, yeah, you're right. It's good. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, my man. All right. Well, that's all for now, folks. Love to have any feedback on the episode, what you took out of it, and do one thing the right way. If it takes a little longer, that's okay. That's the only way you're going to build a great company. Hope you took that message out of the conversation with John. So that's it, man.
Cool.
Peace. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a quick review for the podcast and what you gotten out of it. It helps our show reach more people and inspire more people. Thank you so much.